It's 5:30. We'll call the meeting of Public Works and Highway Committee to order. Attendance shows all people are present except for trustee Phil Hudson, who is absent and excused. I'll entertain approval of the minutes from 11:1.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of 11/1/2023.
And I will second, and we'll vote. All in favor? Aye. And opposed? None, obviously. No changes, obviously. Okay, we're good with that. Public comment? Anybody in the audience that would like to make a public comment? Please limit your comments, ma'am, to 3 minutes.
No. Thank you. I'm Jan Miller, W151 and 10297 Winsong Circle West. Good evening. I just have a couple of questions and I hope you can address them during the items that come up. On the driveway permit discussion, is that for both the driveways and the culverts? That's what I was trying to determine. It looked like it was just the driveway, but I don't know if it necessarily includes the culvert. And also, I was, it may be included in that permit, but do you have your email address on there? I don't know if they can email that form in, but I think that's a great idea. So kudos to you. I went over the 5-year program and I think that's a great idea. We've seen it before, but as I went through it, I live on Winsong Circle West. I did not see that street. And so I've lived there 30 years and I think it's disrepair, but I don't know on the scale of, you know, where you are with the other roads, what that would be. So how do we know if you've even evaluated the road in Germantown? So I'd like, if you could touch on that this evening, that'd be great. And then my a third question I have in that stormwater update discussion with the M4S or whatever it is. Does that include, do you send that letter to all properties? And I'm specifically asking residential subdivisions as well as commercial. So does it include encompass all of the village? And those are my questions and I sure like them addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Jan Miller. Okay, we will move on to unfinished business, driveway permit discussion. Yep.
Thank you and good evening. To follow up, this item before you is a follow-up to previous communications with residents regarding driveways. Outreach letters were sent to 14 homeowners in the Country Bell Manor subdivision, and 2 have responded to participate. And a second letter is going to be transmitted for outreach. And then staff plans to survey and prepare drawings for bids and quotes in 2024 for the driveway repairs. This work is a result of property owners building driveways that did not match the final road grades. And to attempt to avoid this situation in the future, staff has updated the driveway and culvert permit and presented those updates in the packet for your review and approval. The update is for property owners to contact Village Hall prior to construction in the public right-of-way, including driveways. In addition, staff identified construction concerns with curb stops in November due to the timing and the review process for subdivision plans with respect to the timing for building and home construction. So ultimately, there's a second reminder in the driveway permit for locating water service lateral curb stops outside of driveways, and that's consistent with the development handbook. So staff's looking for a recommendation to have the driveway culvert permit approved or recommended for approval by this board to go to the village board for approval. And with respect to comment from Jan Miller. It is a driveway and culvert permit. And the email engineering@germantownwi.gov could be added into that permit.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Committee? Questions, comments, motions? Yes, trustee Warren.
So Kevin, the first thing you talked about, that was in regards to property owners who assumed that the binder course was the finished elevation and they constructed their approaches out to that elevation, right?
Yes, that's correct. And the approaches were concrete and the village may not have necessarily received a permit.
And is the village paying to have that corrected, or is that on the property owner?
It's a combination. The outreach letter requested participation at a 50-50 cost share.
And that's the two that you got back?
There's 2 that have responded, yeah.
Okay, what about the ones that don't respond? What happens?
There will be a second outreach letter sent. And I think the timing of it would be to get out there and survey first, and then potentially adjacent property owners might see staff surveying and be curious and inquire. So following that survey work, we'll be preparing plans and documents for quotes or potentially bids depending on the price. And once that contract is awarded, then the work would be completed to those participants that had indicated their interest.
So all of the ones that want to participate, it's 50-50?
Yes,
Okay, so there's not one where, no, we're not participating, yes, we are, nor, it's anybody has the opportunity to get this fixed at 50% of the cost.
that's correct.
Okay. And then we'll recognize some savings because we'll get one contractor in there at one time to do them all at the same time, in theory.
Yes, contractors are in pretty high demand, so
Yes. Okay,
hopefully it'll work out.
all right, thank you.
Welcome.
I got a couple comments.
Go ahead. Rick.
So, yeah, there was some extenuating circumstances on this, this, this area, I guess, where the binder course, is it the binder course never got down or the binder course was really, really late or something like that? So they put their driveways in prior to the surface course even being on, not the binder, I'm sorry, the surface course. So, and then, as Kevin said, that there was a lot of them that didn't pull a permit, so then put concrete all the way out to the road, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a few issues in this area. My question is, I fully agree with the changes that are made. It's pretty minor, but how do we ensure that people get permits for their driveways? I mean, that's probably going to be the hardest part. And new subdivisions, not a problem, but somebody's redoing their driveway. That's where I'm trying to figure out how we can enforce that or what type of enforcement we can do.
That's a good question, an interesting question. I think one approach may be to send a reminder in the utility billing that goes out quarterly. As a reminder, hey, if you're interested in redoing your driveway, make sure you file a permit and here's the website you can do that at.
Yeah.
Would it be helpful? There's only about 4 firms that do asphalt that I've found anyway, Precision but I mean, just to even alert them that a permit is required in Germantown. I don't know if it's required everywhere else.
They should know that.
So
Starting to
it
get
is
work.
required everywhere else is
Yeah,
what you're
the
saying.
asphalt guys do concrete.
Yeah,
There's so many. You
because I
just
think
never
the
know.
homeowner just assumes that that's part of what they're paying
Right.
for.
Yeah,
You know.
you bet. I think it really defaults to the contractor. They got to know this. If you're going to work in this community, you got to know the specifications and the
Need to pull a
details.
permit. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. How does the property owner know where the right-of-way line is? They don't even understand what right-of-way is typically. That's the issue I have. Some property owners think they own out to the middle of the road. So this concept of, oh, to the right-of-way line is, it's beyond them. So that's the starting point where there's confusion.
Yeah, if a property owner has a question about the property limits, calling 262-250-4721, they'll be able to reach the engineering department and we can help answer that question.
Call, that's all.
Any more comments or questions? I'm just going to mention something here, Kevin. It says action by committee. It says informational item, but this is really something you want action on, correct?
That's correct. Apologize for.
No, that's okay. Not, yeah, normally we just say your recommendation, recommend that, da, 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 and then we just take it from there. But we can, I'm sure somebody will make a motion here.
I'll move approval of the changes to the driveway permits as presented in the packet.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Moving on to new business, acceptance of improvements at Glenwood Park. Guess that's you again, Kevin.
Well, thank you. I'm going to defer to Tim here. There
Okay.
was some upload information uploaded into the packet with incorrectly. So Tim is here to speak to this item.
I'm actually speaking on behalf of myself and Paul. Paul wasn't able to be here tonight, but both utilities have inspected sanitary sewer and the water main relay that occurred in the Glenwood Park neighborhood. So that's Concord Road and the other roads to the south. So we got Burr Oak, Glenwood, Shagbark, and Broadleaf. And we find that the work was of quality, that we can recommend acceptance of that work from MJ Construction. And the final lift of asphalt will occur in the spring, as well as yard restoration when the weather and the growing season conditions allow for it to happen. So staff's recommendation is to accept the improvements and start the 1-year warranty period with MJ Construction beginning as of today.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Committee.
Move approval of the acceptance of the improvements for Glenwood Park. Second.
Questions for Tim? Any comments? Looks pretty straightforward. We'll vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, moving on to the 5-year road program. All right.
Okay, this item is for the 5-year road program. Each year, staff brings forward a program budget for the 5-year road program for the village board review and approval. Typically, this is timed at the end of the year, so it can be approved prior to January, where this allows for the local road improvement program funding from WISDOT. So this budget was set at 1.5 million as part of the CIP from August 2023. And this work includes 3 miles of milling and overlay, in addition to pulverize and reconstruct in areas listed in the table as part of the attachment. And that was in addition to an exhibit delivered to you this evening, which was a map. That map will ultimately be posted to the village website once the item moves forward and is approved, and staff is requesting recommendation for approval to the village board. In addition, staff plans to bring back this item for discussion, the paving program, with respect to the paving program for 2025 and future years, to address the paving approach with respect to mill and overlay methods, and in comparison to pulverize and reconstruct methods, and a consideration for supplemental funding and discretionary funding applications for Maple and Division Road in the future. And then in addition, with respect to the question from Jan Miller, all roads in Germantown are reviewed annually and given a rating. It's called a PASER rating, and those PASER ratings that are 3 or less are prioritized in the 5-year road program. So, and that five-year road program is in front of you for your consideration, and open to any comments, questions.
Committee? Rick?
Yeah, I'll comment first. Since I've been on this committee, which is virtually the whole time I've been on the board, there's always been questions about which roads when, why isn't my road in it? And it's a balancing act, and I think using this PASER rating is probably the best way to do it. I don't know a lot about how it gets rated, but I know that it's fair through all the roads, and then we have to prioritize which ones are done based on volume of traffic and of course, the condition of the road and et cetera. So again, I don't know a lot about the roads except for visual type stuff, so I have to go with some expertise here on this and defer to your expertise, Kevin, on which roads to do and when.
Sure, thank you.
And just to add to that comment, Kevin, we can see from the map that you provided that in addition to the PASER rating, then you try to group to be efficient. Like, oh, these 2 or 3 roads in this certain area. I think it's important for constituents to understand that too. So we're working efficiently with the money we have. Bob?
I was going to say the PASER program was created by DOT. Is that correct to say created by DOT?
I believe so, yes.
So a lot of communities use it, and it's a way of removing a lot of the subjectivity when it comes to conditions of a road. I mean, Kevin could drive a road and I could drive a road and both have different opinions, but if you follow the format and criteria of the PASER manuals, it brings a little more of the technical part of it into play. So it kind of levels the playing field, not only within the community, but with other communities too, and helps DOT to decide where those funds should go. So Kevin, how much did the 2024 change from what we had proposed last year? Was there a lot of?
There were not a lot of changes. This was based on the previous program, and moving those projects forward. There were a number of projects from 2024 that were based on the bids that were received for the 2023 contract, that there were some roads accelerated and added into 2023, with the mill and overlay being less expensive than the pulverize and reconstruct. So then some of those roads from the 2024 that were in the 5-year program from last year were shifted from 2025 into 2024.
Is surface sealing part of this cost, this budget?
No, the seal coating work is a separate item outside of the 5-year road program.
Let me ask your opinion of that process.
Of the seal coating?
Yes.
Well, the seal coating is beneficial for the longevity of the road life by basically filling in the cracks and the voids that could otherwise have moisture get in, and with the freeze thaw conditions exacerbate the poor pavement condition.
That's how
That helps prolong the life. It's something that can be used in to help prolong the life of the roads, but it's not. It's a superficial treatment that can be impacted by plowing.
I mean, that's how they advertise it, right? It's an inexpensive way to extend the life of a roadway. But I personally kind of question how effective it really is. You can look at where we've done these projects in the past, and you can go there the next year and it's pretty much almost gone. It's bleached out. So that just makes me wonder, again, reaffirms in my mind that, is this really doing any good for us? So in the big picture, I know we try to save money by doing mills and overlays instead of reconstruction in that, but I just want to make sure we're not, overly conservative in milling when we should be reconstructing. I know it costs more money, but you can end up chasing your tail when you're just trying to do these Band-Aids on these roads. So be interested to see how you process this as we move forward.
Yeah, the work that we're doing, that we're proposing here in 2024 is, fixed with the 1.5 million that's been approved for that capital improvement program. And so that's where we're trying to maximize the work to be able to address those those roads with the Paiser rating of 3. So the mill and overlay, we're able to get more roads addressed with that work.
Where it makes sense. Yeah. Have we been at 1.5 million for a long time, haven't we? in that
Yeah,
project?
and probably it's flexible. Actually, we've been higher than that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've been
2 million.
higher with some ARPA funds and. some
But even
things
prior to that,
and carry
when the interest rates were
actually.
low.
So last year or 2023,
Steve,
we finally.
I think we're up to 2 million at one point.
Used all of it.
Go back to the Charlie years, we were at 0.
That's why I made that comment at a village board meeting. We don't want to go backwards. We really don't.
That's for
Because
sure.
people who haven't lived through that and their constituents,
Caught up and it's expensive to catch up.
it is, and that's the problem now. Money's getting a little bit more expensive to borrow, and we have to be a little more cautious with our capital borrowing this next year. And at the same time, we have to do the best we can. And if it's a really, really good Band-Aid, it could last for a while. I mean, and keep constituents happy. But I don't know, I think that's something, maybe Kevin, some point you want to talk to Scott and come back and give us no rush. But give us a viewpoint on, look back at some of the roads that we did 2 years ago, and in your opinion, how does it still look? Is it what you expected, or what should be anticipated, or is it so, oh man, this isn't really working like we thought? I'd love to get your opinion on that, when you have time. I know you're busy.
Yes, I would anticipate bringing further discussion back in 2024 with Public Works staff and the new Director of Public Works
That'd be great.
with respect to
Yeah,
prioritizing and programming, the road program in the future and what types of methods are available for the road, for the best interest of the road life
Yeah.
in the village.
that'd be awesome.
We always used Farner, it seemed like for years to do that seal coating. So just FYI. You've heard of them?
I just have a question on 2025. So about a year ago, we were talking about a $5 million project on Division Road alone. And that was when we were looking into getting some grant money for that. And obviously that isn't happening. So this looks pretty aggressive to me versus what was proposed in the past. Is this because of the mill and overlay strategy?
Correct. Yes, that's correct. The mill and overlay in the top 2 rows is for only the travel lane. Staff had reached out to a contractor, Payne and Dolan, to discuss and what's a rough estimate just to get the driving lane. So this doesn't include the auxiliary turn lanes. It doesn't into the intersections. So further down, there's an alternate 1 and alternate 2 for the 2025 program. And the alternate 2 is for Maple Road, but alternate 1 was for Division Road.
Gotcha.
And that includes pulverizing and reconstructing the north portion of Division Road based on our historic linear foot estimated price. And the work south of the Jefferson Ditch, we were looking at just the mill and overlay in that cost. So there's a cost difference with that alternate 1, approximately $300,000. In addition, there's work between, there's utility work planned. The sanitary utility program, there's a study being done, and that hasn't been finalized, but
Right.
we're anticipating work from the old farm lift station south to Donges Bay Road. So that's not included in this.
That's why
in
it's
the estimate.
2026.
That's why it's
that
in
area.
2026. That's correct.
Gotcha. So there
Thanks.
could be some shared cost there. Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Ask 2 questions?
Sure. What? No, Bob, you can't. Just-
Kevin, are these your dollar estimates?
These dollar estimates, yes.
They're, okay.
They're based on previous,
Sure, you
previous
started with that
estimates.
and
Yeah.
then kind of gut checked them. Do you have, what kind of contingency are in these numbers?
I believe it's 15%.
Okay. Is, you know, going back to the mill and overlay, it's good. But there's a reason why these roads are deteriorating. And a lot of times it's the bad base that it was built on. So you could go back in there and mill and overlay and in a couple of years have the same problem because you really haven't addressed the issue. Is there any contingency in these estimates where, and this is just part of normal construction, I apologize for my voice. It's usually not this. I feel like I should be singing now. It's usually not this low. I don't know who's talking. Where you mill and you overlay and it's just falling apart and it's pumping soil, it's really bad. So you can't just go over that with another 2-inch level. You got to go down and dig that out, undercut it. So are there provisions for running into areas like that on these roads where we are proposing mill and overlay? Because we will in the real world, you run into this a lot and your budgets just get blown out of the water real quick.
So if we look at 2024, the column with comments identifies
Some full depth.
in this situation, that first grouping is reconstruction, not just mill and overlay. The Hilbert project would be a mill and overlay with some full depth at Sylvan.
Okay.
And in addition, the reconstruct is the method or process selected for the Glenwood subdivision
Okay.
for the remainder of that work that needs to be done there. However, Squire is a mill and resurface, so that's more of a high impact type approach. But yes, there's that 10 to 15 year design life for a mill and overlay and a
Yeah.
20-30 year design life for a pulverize and reconstruct.
So above it, this will be the last thing, Terry. Okay, I promise. So above and beyond the numbers that you get generated from Payzer, there's also other criteria that enters into it, like your daily traffic. Where is this project related to this 2024 project? Are there economies to be seen? You know, if 2 projects are in, you know, a reasonable distance apart, you could get one contractor to do both of those. So there's an economy of scale there. So are you looking at that criteria also?
Yes, there are a couple projects that are grouped together as shown in the map exhibit. And the contract is typically advertised for the entire road program. So it's typically one contractor that's awarded all of the work.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll entertain a motion.
My turn. Sure. Make a motion to approve the 5-year plan based upon the information submitted to us today from the village engineer.
Second.
And that's moving on to the village board. And obviously, this would not be on consent agenda. Any more comments? And we'll vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. All right, moving on to the stormwater update and discussion.
Okay, thank you. This is an informational item before you and an update that pond inspections were completed and a report of findings are anticipated this winter. This is in response to the DNR, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, notification to the village. And just before this meeting, the consultant that was doing the inspections shared information with staff. And staff will be reviewing this information further to evaluate their findings and identify if there's any necessary funding necessary for maintenance and repairs. So we'll plan to revisit this in 2024. In addition, staff drafted an outreach letter for transmittal to property owners with ponds on their private property. These ponds also require inspection to adhere with the DNR requirements for the municipal separate stormwater system permit. This letter is informational only, intended to limit any surprises in the event constituents inquire with committee members and elected officials. So that was all I had for that item.
Kevin, ultimately, is it the DNR that goes after these people if they don't inspect their ponds, or is that fall to us as a responsibility to get them to do it?
I think I think it's a combination of both. The DNR issues the municipality a general permit, and that general permit under NR 216 is for the operation of the discharges to waters of the state for both the stormwater and the sanitary. So there's the potential for longer processes for plan reviews and approvals for various applications if the permit's not adhered to.
Okay, and it's just stormwater ponds, I mean, not a person's private pond in their backyard if it's not meant for stormwater? I don't have one, I'm not
If-
asking for that reason, but
Okay.
some people do, like they dig a pond to,
If it's a pond that's part of the stormwater management system, that's what is for
okay,
it's part of the storms system of the village. Those are the ponds that are included or covered under that general permit. So if it's a pond where it's all draining to just that one low area and it's not part of a chain, then
doesn't matter.
that wouldn't be included.
Like your backyard.
This would be the subdivision ponds though, correct? The stormwater ponds and all the different subdivisions? Okay.
Yes.
Finally. That's been
How
going
many
on a
are
long
there?
time.
Private detention ponds. You.
So we have the 22 the ponds that are owned by the village, and then approximately 150.
150 private detention ponds?
There's approximately, I think our most current map has 166, and that map needs to get updated with recent activity, and there's 22 that are village-owned land. So
And
those ponds that are on
that's
private
the-
property, this letter is to notify them that maintenance needs to be done on a regular basis. The maintenance needs to occur, there needs to be an inspection at least once every 5 years for the state requirements of the MS4 permit. And then if there's additional requirements in the permit that the village is issued through the stormwater management plan, those would need to be adhered to.
do you think any of these property owners realize that when they purchase this property?
I think there may be a surprise when this letter gets transmitted that there needs to be some inspection work done. So that's why I wanted to bring it to the attention of the committee in the event that there's questions on, we've never had to do this before, or we haven't, I'm a new owner, this is new to me.
Yep.
Whether or not the homeowners association has to deal with it one way or another, there's a lot of questions that could be brought up.
And if you need maintenance, that gets pretty pricey real fast, to come in there with a suck truck and get all the sediment out of there so you get it back to its original hydraulic capacity, and you're trashing their backyard to get to it. You think the garbage carts were an issue. It's just wait.
But this is a homeowners association issue for most of these subdivisions.
Is it?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the condo, it's on Fond du Lac Avenue in their townhouses. And one of the first things I had to contend with were those people claiming that wasn't their pond. And that went on for about 2 years. They kept bringing it back, and it's their pond. But I kind of also understood their point of view that because of where that pond was on the corner of the townhouse property, it received all the drainage from the hill where all the other houses were and two separate homeowners associations. So this will get contentious. And then they were also saying, wait a minute, we're receiving water from Fond du Lac Ave now and from, I think it's Donjas Bay Road there. See the county line, it's Donjas Bay. And they're saying, wait a minute, that water isn't ours, it's coming off from a state highway. Yeah, I mean, there's so many issues
Yeah.
that, but we have to open up this Pandora's box. I've been talking about this for the 10 years at least. That if this isn't in these, that these people aren't notified when they buy a house in a subdivision, that's unconscionable. That they're not aware of this. And same thing with the resale of home. It's got to be in the contract
Yeah.
somewhere.
And it's, if you don't maintain these things, they don't do their job at all. You know, it's just an eyesore, they get overgrown but it's expensive to maintain them the right way. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, so I'm anticipating landscaping and maintenance of overgrown vegetation for village ponds, as well as questions about contracts and for doing that at privately owned ponds.
Yeah. Has the village maintained their ponds?
That's where, looking at this list here, I'm seeing that there's been some overgrown vegetation that needs to be addressed. I asked for 5 of the priority of the most critical ponds that need to be addressed, and overgrown vegetation has been identified for the village pond, uncontrolled vegetation, a lot of geese, overgrown vegetation, invasive species. And then,
And you get the,
yeah, so there's a lot of overgrown vegetation
And you
that's
get
going to need
the,
to be done for the village ponds as well.
what was that, the Mississippi crayfish?
Oh, we have to get an update on that. We'll save that for the new Public Works Director. Yeah, the crayfish problem, where we had we actually closed the pond behind the library to kill the crayfish. We never reopened it.
Got extended.
So I think the crayfish boils are kind of fun. but
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're gonna turn
not
that
from
into
the-
a fun.
but not from that pond.
I think they poured bleach in it, didn't they?
I don't know.
Yeah, they did, but you have to ask about that, and you have to ask about the so-called beavers. And I still don't believe they were really beavers, they were probably muskrats. I mean, I don't see any trees falling down around the village, but supposedly we hired a guy to kill or trap, not kill, trap and move away the beavers.
Yep, there's lots of beavers around,
Really?
Yep.
Where are they getting their trees from?
wherever it's growing, I suppose.
This was like behind,
Sendix and,
behind Silver
yeah.
Circle. It was a bad, they were flooding in.
Anyway, we'll save that for the new Public Works Director.
Okay,
That'll be a fun one.
thank you.
Okay, so I think this letter is very good. I mean, great communications, so I think the response should be interesting. And is that sort of like they have to do this by July 2024? Or can they, if they're panicked, is there an extension procedure?
Well, this effort is in response to the DNR notification, so we're taking a couple action steps with what the village owned ponds, with the private property ponds. We'll have a follow-up outreach letter to those that didn't send in inspection reports or any type of maintenance plan that we're aware of. And then, so staff will plan to bring back this item for an update because we're doing ongoing illicit discharge connection testing to make sure that there's not cross connections from the sanitary system into the storm
Not good.
sewer system. And then there's also the outreach and education component where we have information on the village's website.
Okay,
Kevin, did I hear you right? You said every 5 years they're supposed to inspect?
That is the minimum state requirement.
It's in here, your letter, it says annual inspection.
So that was why I dropped off the revised
The updated one?
letter, because that was another snafu in the uploading it.
Okay.
to the letter
Okay.
stating
We have the
that,
correct one.
Need that.
it requires routine inspection and maintenance.
Yeah, I see that now.
That's
Okay.
based on the stormwater management plan that's been submitted to the village. That's the way the ordinance reads.
All right, thank you.
Any more comments on this? All right, thank you for that, Kevin. I think it's a great letter. With that, unless anybody on this committee has any announcements, we will set our next meeting date. I've had a request to move it from the first Wednesday of January because that's still a vacation week for some people. So how would the 10th, Wednesday, the 10th work for you?
Something's in here.
Oh, it is.
The 10th, we have to do the 9th.
The 9th would work for me. Tuesday works for me if it works for you. And I can, well, we'll contact Phil about that, but I think he's usually pretty open. So, okay. So we'll do it here at 5:30 PM in this room on the 9th, on Tuesday, the 9th. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting at 6:11 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Terry, do you still have summer hours for this committee?
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't you worry about that.
I should have asked that before.
No, I know you need to move for Wednesday. That's what I stayed on, let's see. Yeah, but for everyone. So this is actually an aberration to go to Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Normally it's Wednesday at 5:30.
Kevin, are you? Oh, yeah.
So this can happen, that's the one.
Are you a golfer? I like to golf. I don't golf as much now, 3 kids. I like to go golfing.
And don't go